Joining me today, I have twin sisters all the way from Alberta, Cortney Drover and Connie Claeys. Thank you so much for taking the time during this October Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you.
us.
Absolutely. So I am so sorry that both of you had to go through this, but if you don't mind, share a little bit about each of your breast cancer journey.
Yeah, so I got diagnosed first. I'm Courtney, the older twin by 5 minutes. So back in 2015, I actually found a lump under my arm that at the time, just not being educated at all in cancer at that age, we were 29 at the time, kind of just thought it was nothing. I did end up going to emergency, and they kind of thought that maybe I just had a cold and that my lymph nodes were enlarged. So I was good with that answer. And it was actually my mom who kept pretty much begging me, honestly, to go get it looked at. And again, just having no knowledge about it, you really think like it just can't happen to me. The only thing I really knew about cancer is I thought older people got it and it was really bad. And that's honestly all I knew. So finally I went to my doctor and they decided to get an ultrasound and a biopsy of it. And honestly, within days, I was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer, being that the lump was cancerous. So I started, I believe, honestly, it was days, and I was in my first of 8 chemotherapy sessions. And yeah, that's kind of the start of my journey.
Wow. And then Connie, for you, it was that around the same time or was it a little bit later then?
Yeah, so mine, I basically just was informed by my doctor to get checked just because with us being twins, they just thought it was best. So I kind of just did that, but kind of brushed it off, didn't think anything of it, thought that was kind of impossible that would happen to both of us. And I believe mine was about 4 weeks later. I didn't have any signs, no symptoms, no nothing. I just went to my doctor. They got me an ultrasound, which did show something unusual on my left breast. I believe that very same day I got a biopsy and a mammogram. And within days of that, I was diagnosed with stage 2 breast cancer. So mine didn't fortunately go to my lymph nodes. And I didn't have to do any type of chemotherapy or anything like that. So I was very fortunate that it was caught earlier. But again, just because of her, I got checked. No symptoms, no nothing.
And so you're like late 20s, early 30s, very young,
Yeah.
both of you.
Yeah, we were 29 at the time.
Yeah,
Yes.
we were 29, yeah.
Oh my goodness. So then what so you didn't have to do chemo, but you ended up doing chemo, radiation, Courtney, tell me a little bit about what that journey was like and Connie too, like seeing your sister go through this and yeah, talk me through that.
So it was really, really hard. I was pretty much devastated when they told me that I would have to go through chemo. I was a single mom at the time. We had so much support, but still such a blow to hear, the reality that you will be doing this. And it was hard. I mean, I had to have people around me all the time just to help me, kind of get through my days. I did it. So I did 8 sessions. I would do 1 session every 2 weeks. So it took a couple months, I believe. I was done in November. So I kind of was giving my body a bit of a break before I started radiation just to kind of get back on track and everything like that. We ended up both having double mastectomies in January of 2016. So we did that. And then I ended up actually finding out that I was pregnant in February. Very unexpected, I was told I would most likely never be able to bear children again. And since chemo, I have 2 little girls that I've given birth to since then, and a son that was with me kind of through my first journey. So been super lucky. I always wanted a family. So again, went through with the pregnancy. Radiation kind of got postponed yet again, which was super hard trying to decide what to do in that journey. But it all worked out. I ended up having radiation, and pretty much thought my journey at that time was done. I kind of chalked it up to I have done what I needed to do. It's gone. And then in 2021 was re-diagnosed again with metastatic breast cancer. So it had spread to different parts of my body. Same thing, super shocked. Couldn't have imagined it was ever going to come back. But here we are, kind of facing it together again, me and Con. So, and then her journey kind of took a turn as well. If you want to talk about that.
Yeah. So my first stage 2 diagnosis, I didn't have to do chemo or anything, just some targeted therapies for 5 years. The studies at the time said once you've been clear for 5 years, you're pretty much cancer free. So yay me, in 2020, I was cancer free, thinking that it will never come back, threw myself a little party. Cortney got diagnosed that same year. So that was really hard to be cancer free myself, and hers to come back the exact same year within months. And then in 2022, I actually just went to see my oncologist. He had offered me to be part of a study drug that actually prevents breast cancer from returning metastatic wise. And with tests that I had to do to be on that trial, they ended up finding a lump on my left lung, which then put me as having metastatic breast cancer as well. And that was in 2022, so 2 years after Cortney's diagnosis. So yeah, like Court said, here we are again. I always seem to be just behind her in some kind of a way. So we're here doing it together, which also we've said in multiple interviews, it's kind of easier that we both have it, because I couldn't imagine having to just follow her and me not having it. That was really tough for those 2 years that I was considered cancer free, I suppose. It was really hard to watch her go through it all. So it's just a lot easier. We have each other's support, and yeah, in some weird, crazy world, it just made sense that if one of us is going to have it, we both should have it, I guess you could say.
Yeah, wow. Well, thank you so much for sharing your journeys. And I wanted to ask this, but now knowing, Cortney had some children in there as well, which congrats, that's amazing.
Yeah.
But when you're going through this, like what kept you going through these hard times and continues maybe and hopefully to get you through what you're facing right now?
Do you know what? It's all about support. Like, cancer can be such a lonely journey. I know my first diagnosis, you see your doctor so often, they become a part of your world. Your oncologist becomes like your best friend, right? And Dr. Webster, our oncologist, I love him to bits. I would say over and over again, he has saved my life numerous times with the drugs he has handpicked to give me and Con. We're so lucky. And I think it's just about support. When I stopped seeing my oncologist because I was at that time considered cancer free, I remember just thinking, now what? Like, my life, my identity was at that time cancer. I, before cancer, had a job and I had my world, and that was kind of ripped from me. I had to quit my job to get the chemo. I was tired a lot, so I did need support in raising my son at that time. And I remember just feeling really lonely when I didn't go to my oncologist anymore, because it was such a part of I think I was going like weekly. And then it's like, well, now what do I do? I'm cancer free, but I need to restart. I don't have a job anymore. I need to really, really figure out my identity again. And that took a while. So I think just support. Our family was amazing through it all. I always had somebody sitting, or multiple people sitting beside me in the chemo chair, and at my house making me dinners, and me and Con actually moved in together when I got diagnosed, just to be the support. So it's just, cancer can be so lonely. And your support people just become your absolute world. They will be your push on your bad days, which you do have a lot of bad days, right? And even now, just being able to get our story out there, I think really pushes me and Con, because we are noticing. We started kind of trying to get our journey out last year, and it was a slower process. And now we're kind of seeing the effects of it. Like, we are getting to people, and people are hearing our story. And that, I know, for me, gives me a drive to just keep going, because I think we've always said, if we can just help one person through getting our story out there, I hope to help millions. But if we can help just one, we can't ask for more, that people just we resonate with somebody. Because I know, being on Facebook groups and stuff, if one story is like mine, I feel, okay, I'm not alone in this anymore.
And that I find it can be, get you through maybe one more hard day, right? Like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm not actually alone in this.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Couple quick questions about breast cancer. And if you don't know, no problem. Do you beautiful, amazing ladies are so young. Do you know how rare it is for a woman to have breast cancer under the age of 40? Do you know like any kind of stats?
I don't know any stats.
No, I don't. I would know like my personal opinion on it, but I don't know any stats about it.
Did the doctors ever say like the fact that you're twins, the fact that you are like that's pretty rare? Have they ever
At the
mentioned anything like that? Okay.
time, at the time in 2015, I know, I think in Alberta, we were the only twins that were at least diagnosed that close together. Um, I think that's all they had really said about us. I think it's important to know too, we did have the genetic mutation. So we have the BRCA2 gene, which is for breast cancer and ovarian cancer. So 80% that you'll get breast cancer in a lifetime. So yeah, we do carry that gene. But I think the fact that we were twins and so young and diagnosed so close together was very, very rare at the time of our diagnosis. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's
Go
they
ahead.
when I got diagnosed and then it was kind of they wanted us to get tested for the gene because to try and make sense of it, right? Because we're so young. It was like, well, I got it. That was a shock. Con has it. Oh my goodness. So having the gene made it make a little bit more sense. And it thankfully started a ripple effect of our younger sister, our whole family on our dad's side kind of had to get tested for it. And our younger sister ended up having the gene. So she got a preventative double mastectomy as well as our aunt. So thank goodness, in a way, we did get tested for that gene, just because it did start our family being able to kind of like figure out who has it, and they could start preventative measures to not get to a point where a diagnosis is what you're being told.
Absolutely. Um, what would you want women to know? Maybe some common misconceptions or just something you would have liked to know?
Mm-hmm.
I would have just liked to know at the time that it can happen so young. I think we live in a world, or at least when we first got diagnosed, that like I think 50 was the age for starting to get testing or to get your mammogram. So I think just knowing that it can happen to you younger, and especially walking around, even going to the cancer center now, it is such young people. Like Courtney and I are actually like in the older end now, I think, because it is just such young people. So I would just want people to know that, be an advocate for yourself and get tested. Um, if you feel like something is wrong, or you feel a lump, or you're doing your test and something just doesn't feel right, just make sure you ask about it. Like Courtney said, she was told her lump in her armpit was just a lymph node. You've got a cold. And that's absolutely not what it was. So if something doesn't feel right, I would get maybe 1, 2, 3 opinions on doctors just to be sure that it is nothing. So you're not like leaving it for a certain amount of time.
I mean,
Yeah.
there's no person that looks the part to get a diagnosis, right? And I know me and Con get all the time, but you guys look so healthy, but you don't look like you have cancer. And that's something I had to learn too, because I think in movies there is a picture. People that have cancer you look a certain way, or if you're going to get a diagnosis, it's because you felt something or you're sick. There doesn't have to be any sort of anything that happens to you before a diagnosis. And when you are diagnosed, me and Con walk down the street and we don't look like we're sick, yet every day we're fighting a battle in our bodies that we really need to fight for. So I think it's just, we always say advocate for yourselves, because my goodness, it can happen to you. It happened to us, and we could have never thought twice it would happen to us, right? And then again, when it does, cancer is so scary, but the drugs are coming so far. You can live a pretty normal life, and I'm not saying it's easy in any way. I mean, I feel sick because of my meds, nauseous, really tired, but the medicine is coming along so far. You can live a pretty normal life, or at least try to, with the diagnosis now. So yeah, our main message is like advocate for yourself, and just make your intuition is usually never going to be wrong. So if you feel something, your body is trying to tell you, get it checked.
I love that. Well, you ladies are warriors. You are fantastic. And I've been so blessed to hear your journeys. And so thank you so much for taking the time. We're going to share this with all our listeners.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for having us.